welcome to Same Cast, Different Day podcast. I'm Martel Rowland.
And I'm Tina Marie.
I'm so sorry. It seemed like as soon as I hit the go live button, my allergies started acting up.
Mine's been on 10 all weekend. Don't feel bad.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
feel bad.
So we have so much stuff to cover tonight. We have the RNC that was here in Milwaukee. So we're going to talk about the RNC and did the RNC really provide any benefits to the city of Milwaukee? So we're going to talk about that. Then it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we waited till today to record the episode. We was gonna do it yesterday, but for the second week in a row, we waited. And today, Joe Biden put out a newsletter saying that he will not be seeking reelection come November, and that he has endorsed Kamala Harris as he endorsed her as the next Democratic nominee. So, uh, let's talk about the RNC first. So I don't know, I don't think I have the clip in here. So we had a local news anchor by name Ben Handelman for Fox 6 News Milwaukee, WITI. And so he walked around the downtown area, Old World 3rd Street. He went into the Milwaukee Public Market. He went into some popular bar areas downtown that were still open to the public during the RNC, and everything was completely empty when he did these when he went to these areas. And a lot of locals were saying, well, from what I was hearing, a lot of locals was not going in those areas because although those businesses were still open, there was no street parking. So it was like, how are we going to come down here, whatever it is that we normally do, if we can't park anywhere? So that was just another
So,
issue. And then my whole thing was, I was like, if you are a convicted felon, only person that's gonna go near there, no convicted felons are gonna go near that area. And only convicted felon that went near that area was Donald Trump.
so, I was speaking to a friend last night that we both know. Not last night. No, it was last night into early morning. And we were discussing a few things. For one, she goes to the gym down there in that area. And for two, she has a friend that lives in that area, right?
Hmm.
And she was asking me, how many people were supposed to attend. And I remember reading an article early on and said 500,000 people were supposed to attend. Now, I don't really know how many numbers, what the numbers were that attended the RNC. But
Hmm.
I did watch the RNC every day. And on last night, Pfizer Forum was filled to capacity. So I looked online to see what capacity was, and it's based on what event is going on. So like hockey versus basketball versus like a concert. And I would say, having been to concerts previously in Pfizer Forum, I feel like that was the best setup that they have for the RNC. So it said capacity was about 18,000, right? So she made some very good points. So she and her husband have um, invested in a food truck that is positioned down there on Water Street. And typically, this food truck gets about anywhere between 300 and 400 orders in a day. But during the RNC, if they were doing anything between 40 and 60 orders a day, which is
Mm.
crazy. And she was just commenting on just the lack of people down there. She said it was like a ghost town. So she said it was weird to have so many more people supposedly in our town. It really didn't make a difference. And I feel like the only inconvenience that was made is because they had streets blocked off, highway exits blocked off, so you couldn't get off on certain highway exits. But I mean, my travel wasn't any different, to be honest. Just based on the number of people, I know some people complain about their commute into like work or whatever was different, and it was more so because they couldn't get off on their regular exits that they get off on. So people were detouring. Um, so I thought that was pretty. interesting, for so many people to supposedly be in our town, and they basically, like, our businesses were basically blackballed. Like, nothing came into our economy as far as having the RNC here. Like, our economy didn't benefit in any way, So that sucks. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
y'all. He just woke up.
the only places that made money really is the Punch Bowl Social. And if you look at how the Deer District is built, so you have Fires of Forum, and it is like a district that you just basically walk in on cars and drive into it. So across the way from Fires of Forum is the Punch Bowl Social. That's where a lot of Republicans was going to get to get lunch and dinner and have drinks and stuff like that. So those places were making money. But anything outside of that vicinity, maybe the new hotel that they just built, which is right across the street from Fires of Forum, they have like a presidential suite and they have like a rooftop restaurant. So that probably made some money. But it was like other than that, no. And then one thing that I did notice was there was a lot of coach buses in the downtown area. So like after the event was over at the Fires of Forum, a lot of those people was getting back onto those coach buses and were getting bused to like wherever their hotels and stuff were, and like others, because some people probably had hotels in Chicago or Racine, Kenosha, Waukesha, and so on for like neighboring counties. So they were probably getting bused back to those areas. So maybe those areas were the areas where those people were, their hotel was, is where they mostly probably spend money at. The only place that I was told that the Republicans and Democrats were spotted at outside of Fires of Forum was outside the convention was at the Waukesha County Fair. That's the only place I heard about them being spotted at. I remember at one point they were a party at the American Family Field, formerly known as Miller Park. I don't know if that actually happened. I haven't seen no video of that actual party happening.
Um, I know there was supposed to be. It was a private concert. I don't know the name of the artist. After the last day of the RNC, but
Oh,
it was a
it
private concert.
Kid Rock performed, and it was only like 20 people watching him perform. Everybody else left.
It was no. Kid Rock performed in the middle of the convention. They didn't
So,
leave.
okay, I don't know how they did it on TV then when they made it look like it was a bunch of people. It was like so from like the audience point of view, it was like literally like 20 to 30 people around the stage watching him perform. It was like the rest of the area was like empty.
That's not what I saw when I was. So I watched it live. So when he was performing, like I said, he was like in the middle. I don't want to say, well, yeah, he was like in the middle of the convention.
Hmm.
I think it was Thursday he performed. I think that was Thursday because the same day Hulk Hogan was on.
Yeah,
I
that was the
think
last day
so.
of the convention.
Yeah. So he performed, um, and he performed one of his songs, his older songs, but he tweaked some of the
Hmm.
lyrics for the convention. And the way the camera was set up, it was panning around the audience, and it didn't look empty to me.
They pull a WWE stunt. So like what WWE do, if it's like not a lot of people in that area, they will always pan the camera in an area where there's always a bunch of people to make it look like that the arena is full, even though the arena is not really full. So there's been times where WWE had very low attendance, so half the arena will be like empty. So they will only show the side of the arena where there's a bunch of people at, which is the hard camera side where the camera points at. So everybody want to sit to be on camera on TV. So that's why they're panning that area during the whole entire show. If
Well, he
there's
only
like,
performed one song,
yeah,
I
because when I
believe.
had looked at it from the
I believe it was
audience
only
point
one
of
song.
view, when I looked at it from like the audience point of view, somebody uploaded it online and it was showing him perform. It was like around the stage area. It would look like it was all about 40 people watching him perform.
Well,
It
but
looks
what
sad.
about? So I would think it would depend on where in Pfizer form they are because of the way that seats can be in Pfizer form. So
So they
that
wasn't on the
last day,
floor. They were filming from the bowl, like the lower bowl area.
okay, well then I can understand that point, but it was behind them. Like they were packed to capacity that
Yeah,
night.
probably.
And I paid attention each night.
What should I say? The normies, the people who are not considered important, were still sitting in their seats, but like everybody that's like considered delegates and stuff like that, they were not in their seats. They all got up and pretty much left during Kid Rock's performance.
Well, I mean, you know.
And Hulk Hogan, don't you ever go on live TV and embarrass yourself like that again. First
Why
of
do you
all,
say he embarrassed himself?
because first of all, sir, I don't need you to be endorsing somebody that's racist. It's already it's video evidence of you already being a racist, and then you go on national television and endorse a racist. You've been caught multiple times calling people niggers. It's the reason why there's people that's currently in the company right now that just decide not to fuck with you because they know of your past reputation for being a racist.
Yeah, when I seen him come out, I mean, I was excited because when I was a little girl, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan wrestle with my father, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited because he still had that same energy, just his same. He a
Cody
good
Rhodes has called out Hulk.
Okay, yeah. I have to make sure I had the video. I had the video to prove this, but yeah.
So his speech was intriguing just because of the way he speaks and the
Mm-hmm.
antics he speaks. But he's an entertainer, right? So he's done that multiple times over decades of being a wrestler, right? And yes,
Mm-hmm.
he did rip the shirt off. Yes, it was a Trump Van shirt underneath. I mean, I seen it from underneath his other shirt here. And I
And by the
mean,
way,
it would have been.
he's not really strong enough to rip his shirt. He pre-cuts his shirt and then tears it from there.
We know. We
A lot
know.
of people don't know that he's not really that strong. I just want to let y'all know that.
I mean, has anybody actually ever tried to tear a cotton shirt before? Like, it's almost impossible if you already don't have it. So I knew, but I mean, he was there, and then also UFC CEO Dana. I don't know his last name. He spoke before Trump came out that same night.
Dana
It was just a lot. Dana is a woman. The UFC CEO is a woman
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah. Dana's is it Dana's white or Dana something? Yeah, she's a woman.
No, it was a guy named Dana that came out and spoke.
Was it?
Yes, the UFC CEO.
I mean, well, wait,
No, it was a man. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I might got them mixed up. I might got somebody mixed up.
Because, honey, that was the transition for the books, if that's true.
But I do got a clip Hulk Hogan and Karen at the RNC. Here we go.
Cody Rhodes has called out Hulk Hogan over his speech where he supported Donald Trump. This happened just a day after Hulk Hogan went viral for publicly supporting Trump during a convention in America, where Hulk Hogan called Trump his hero and spoke on wanting changes to America. This speech he made was met with both praise and criticism. Some people have criticized Hulk and have even brought up Hogan's past. Previously, Hulk Hogan was abruptly fired from WWE after tapes recorded in 2007 revealed him ranting about being mad at his daughter for dating a black man, and during the tapes, he used racial slurs. In the footage, Hulk Hogan openly bragged that he is racist. And now, Cody has publicly called Hulk Hogan out. Underneath a post on Instagram about racism, Cody commented saying, "I've seen this both in my professional life and personal life, especially lately. It needs to be called out every time you witness it. Do not let people get away with it." Because of Cody saying especially lately and also saying he sees racism in his professional life, it seems that Cody is calling Hulk Hogan out for his Trump speech and also for his racist past. It's worth noting that Cody's wife is black and he has a biracial child, so Cody will be personally affected by issues of racism in the world, and he will want to speak up on things even more than a lot of his peers would. It seems that Cody wants to stand up for what he believes in and doesn't want anyone to be treated differently because of their racial background. One fan said, "Cody Rhodes is a true leader and a role model. He's not afraid to speak out against racism and bigotry, even when it's someone as iconic as Hulk Hogan. I respect him so much for taking a stand." Another fan said, "I don't care about politics in wrestling. I just want to be entertained. Cody should stick to to wrestling and leave his personal opinions out of it. He's alienating a lot of fans with his woke agenda. And finally, one more fan said, Hulk Hogan is a legend and Cody Rhodes is just a wannabe. He has no right to criticize Hulk. It's disrespectful and unprofessional. Cody should apologize and focus on his own career.
First of all, Hulk Hogan don't even wrestle anymore. So why they talking about something he need to keep his nose out of wrestling? Hulk Hogan don't even wrestle no more. He been retired. Second of all, like he can call out whoever he want to call out. Like what you talking about? Why they talking that mess? And then again, why did Trump have a former pro wrestler on the stage to validate him in the first place? This man ain't got no place in politics. It was just a stunt. That's all it was.
Like Hulk Hogan has never been a part of politics in the history of his career. And now he's talking about he might go into politics now at this point in his life at 71. And this is the problem why I keep saying we need to have these term limits, we need to have age cut off. Because once again, we do not need another 70-some-year-old plus white man in any kind of government.
I was looking at his 613 bob cut he had on underneath that bandana, honey, because we know he's balding.
Wait, and he wear weaves too, so that it was much weave.
That's what I'm saying. He had that 613, that number 613 blonde bob lace front underneath there.
Oh shit! But yeah, like I said, like Hulk Hogan at the RNC, like I feel like he has lost the respect of a lot of wrestling fans. And I feel like the only people who came to Hulk Hogan's defense were like older wrestling fans who are in their 50s or 60s and who grew up in a conservative household. And that's crazy. Like this, to see. I like to see Republicans who believe in progression still, like they have their values, but they still believe in progression. And the fact that we have so many Republican people right now that's just so stuck in like keeping things the way they are, they want to go back to where, white man ruled the country basically. And I feel like that's the direction with Trump that he's going to want to go in. And that with Project 25, in which I do have I can't remember her name, but she the one that called Marjorie Taylor Greene the blonde butch body something. So she had a take on Trump's Project 25 that I'm gonna play for you guys right now.
Can you talk about the dangers of Project 2025?
Project 2025 is nothing but a white supremacist manifesto to how they can delete anybody that ain't old, white, and male. That is all it is. It's about attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's about attacking those that don't want to bow down to the orange Jesus and decide that they're going to be his loyalists and do whatever they want him to do. It's about getting rid of the Department of Education, getting rid of the Department of Justice, making everyone subscribe to the way that they understand and interpret Christianity, which I'm sure is the same Christianity that somehow justified slavery. That's why Trump had to go ahead and send that dog whistle about our black jobs. And I got news for him and anybody else. My black ass is exactly where I'm supposed to be, trying to check them and their white supremacy. So essentially what it is to destroy us and to destroy democracy. It also looks at consolidating power in the hands of the president. This is what we already see happening when we look at what the Supreme Court did when they decided that they were going to crown him King Trump and give him immunity that has never been warranted or given in this country. Warrants immunity that would allow him to literally kill somebody and get away with it. So that's Project 2025 in a nutshell. And don't forget your grannies and your aunties, because they're trying to take your Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare.
I love her.
I love her so much, and I had another video of her too doing a breakdown or something. But so those of you who are not aware of Project 25, please go look it up. If you can go find it anywhere online, please go look it up. It's a very good reason why you should go take your black ass out to go vote after reading Project 25. And before we kind of change subjects a little bit between the RNC and the Kamala Harris story, I gotta say I love my city. They went and found the right person to interview for this. And when they asked this question, so I'm going to play this video for y'all.
Is there any chance that you vote for Donald Trump this election?
I'll let you answer that question. Look me in my eyes. No. Not that.
Why they do that? She looking at them like, why are you playing in my face?
But why you in a Democratic city and you just asked a black woman who looked like she has been working all her life.
She's like, she made some good ass friends, okay? That is the wrong black person to be asking.
That was the wrong black person to ask. Like, are you serious?
They was dead ass serious. They did it on purpose.
They were dead ass serious. Oh, by the way, wherever you are watching or streaming this podcast, can y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for us? Thank you so much for that. So to keep things going, so I have a few clips because we just found out within the last few hours that Joe Biden is not running for re-election come November, and that he endorsed Kamala Harris. So I got a few clips that I'm going to play for you guys, and then we're going to discuss.
You cannot make this up. President Biden has just announced that he is no longer seeking re-election. I'm not even kidding. This leaves Kamala Harris, the current vice president of the United States, to assume his role as the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. Take a look. President Biden left this letter that talks about his legacy and how he is thankful to both the country and Vice President Kamala Harris for supporting his role during his campaign. Now, this also talks about how he believes it's in the best interest of the country for him to no longer seek re-election and instead focus on serving the country. Now, that means that the Democratic Party is going to have to pick a new candidate, and because Kamala Harris is the only candidate who has a claim to Joe Biden's primary electorate being his vice president, and also being the only candidate to have a claim to the hundreds of millions of dollars in his piggy bank, Kamala Harris is going to be the presumptive nominee. And somebody can try to challenge her, but it's not going to work out. And I am so thankful to President Biden for giving us this opportunity to elect Kamala Harris to be president, because America wants her.
America. So I got. No, go ahead.
Nothing. It's our segue into talking about the whole him stepping down thing.
Yes, I do got some clips to play before we get into it. So here we go.
Okay.
We have some massive breaking news. A huge amount of donations has flooded into Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign since President Biden endorsed her to be the next Democratic nominee. I mean, this is remarkable. In the first hour after President Biden dropped out and endorsed Kamala Harris, they raised more than $5 million in 1 hour. That is a huge amount, and the donations continue to pour in. Look, there is a real energy surrounding Vice President Kamala Harris now being the Democratic nominee. People of all ages, all backgrounds, all identities are stepping up and saying, yeah, let's make sure that Vice President Kamala Harris beats the convicted felon Donald Trump. I mean, just look at the difference between the candidates. Vice President Kamala Harris was a district attorney. She was a prosecutor. She prosecuted criminals. Donald Trump is the type of criminal that she prosecuted. Folks, let's stand up for the rule of law. Let's stand up for American democracy. Let's stand up for what's right and get behind Vice President Kamala Harris and have her beat Donald Trump in 2024.
You cannot make this up. Donald Trump just handed Kamala Harris a massive win because of J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is Donald Trump's new running mate, and he is no ordinary Republican, okay? This guy is going to have to go debate Kamala Harris, but he has very little experience in public service or office, okay? This guy has been a senator for 1 year, okay? And not to mention, he has hated Donald Trump for 30 out of the 39 years he has been on Earth, right? This guy said that Donald Trump was the epitome of a 1944 dictator that I can't say the name of without breaking community guidelines. That's how bad that is. This guy right here said that Donald Trump is reprehensible for hurting immigrants, which I agree with. However, Republicans will not agree with that, and Kamala Harris is ready to bring it up in the debate. And all this stuff can be proven because it's still on his Twitter account. Kamala Harris, all that she has to do during the debate to ruin him is say the truth by mentioning that he wants to keep women in marriages even if they're violent. If you're in a violent marriage, he wants to keep you there. You cannot make this up. Donald Trump's Supreme Court's going down because of Joe Biden. President Biden announced today that he's preparing to propose legislation that would implement term limits on the Supreme Court. That is massive news, and this comes after the Supreme Court declared that Joe Biden and Donald Trump have presidential immunity, essentially making the presidency into a monarchy. So I can see exactly why Joe Biden's doing this, and you're going to say goodbye real soon to Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito so long as Democrats win back the House in November.
Now, moving on,
So who decided that Supreme Court justices were supposed to serve until they pass? Like,
I
that's
have
stupid to me.
no idea.
They should have terms. They should have terms. Absolutely, they should absolutely have terms.
Should think they, and it's crazy because when a Supreme Court justice passes away, the president picks who he wants to replace that person. So we can possibly have a Supreme Court where it's all conservative justices in that position.
So I believe the last person. So we did have one of the most I don't want to say rule pushing, but progressive Supreme Court justices died during Donald Trump's presidency. She was one of the ones that backed Roe v. Wade, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe so.
And once she passed, and they put the new justice in there, I can't remember her name. I believe it was a female that he replaced her with. Yeah. That's when they overturned Roe v. Wade. And if anybody don't know what Roe v. Wade is, that is your right to have an abortion.
That's correct. And that is correct.
So that's good news. So that's news that Joe Biden.
Because I feel like if Kamala was to get elected into the office, if she was to get reelected, if she was to get elected into the office, that'd be something that we know that she'd try to push the change for the term limit. And then second, just think about it, if she was to get elected and then get reelected, because technically she can run for 2 terms still, that would have been 12 years of a Democratic president for 12 years. If she win and then get reelected, that's 12 years of a Democratic president, something that has not happened in decades. So I'm happy.
Not to mention she would be the first woman.
Yep. Not on top of that, she will be the first woman to be elected also. So
yeah.
So speaking of so I was like, okay, so as Kamala Harris becomes the nominee for the Democratic Party to move, who should run as her running mate? And
so I initially had thought that it was just going to be they were going to flip-flop roles. I don't know if that's possible to do. I've never seen it done. Have you?
I've never seen that done before. The only way I've never seen it. I don't think the president has ever been downgraded to vice president before.
I don't feel like it's downgrade. I feel like it's a way of preserving what they intended to do.
Yeah, I haven't seen, but I feel like with Joe Biden catching COVID and it's really affecting him in such a bad way, I don't feel like he's going to even want to continue to go on to be vice president. Like I said, he's been in politics for so long, and at 81 years old, and it's just short.
It's a blessing that he walks without assistive devices.
Right.
While everybody's talking about his age, like I feel like he's doing great for his age.
Yeah, I feel like he's doing good for his age, but it's like, at this point, it's like go enjoy the time that you have left with your family. I
agree, but I don't feel like that politics had ever stopped him from having fun with his family. He seemed like he would be a pretty fun guy, honestly.
Right. I don't think it has, but the job as a president, I feel like takes more time.
It ages you.
And then there are times where he has to be woken up hours of the day, or he's working 15, 16, 17 crisis. He was trying to deal with the war that's going on overseas. He's dealing with the Ukraine war. So there's a lot that he was dealing with as a sitting president. So I feel like the best combination going into, for president and vice president is this duo, this man right here. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, should be her running mate for going into this election. This is who I want
I agree.
her run with. The debate that he did with Ron DeSantis and destroyed that man, that's who I want to see
him up.
Who I want to see him run with. And then this also came out 21 minutes ago that he has gone publicly endorsing Kamala Harris to replace Joe Biden in the upcoming election, the governor of California.
Okay, go ahead and let him step forward. I can't wait to watch the DNC, which is going to be in Chicago from August 19th through the 22nd. I'm going to watch that like I watched the RNC. And to be honest with y'all, I've never watched either one of them in my life. in the 41 years I've been alive.
That's how important is it. I'm going to tell you, Tina is the better reporter on this for this show, for this part of the show, y'all, because she actually watched. I didn't watch any of it, so she was the better reporter. I got clips. I watched the clip notes. RNC. Tina was the more dedicated one this time around, which was a good thing, because one of us.
I was being responsible. Every night I came home from work and I watched it. I sometimes didn't catch the beginning of it, but I felt like it started around 6. And would usually end a little after 10 o'clock, except for Thursday night when Donald Trump had an almost 2-hour speech where he was basically repeating himself and rambling on. And I felt like it wasn't one of his typical speeches. And, it seemed kind of lackluster, but then I kind of feel like it was a ploy to kind of make him seem a little bit more humble, right? Because he was speaking in a lower tone of voice. And he said something about Biden once. He said his name once and said he wasn't going to say it again. Then they brought out the firefighter who lost his life during the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. I think he had just retired from firefighting, so they brought out his coat and his helmet. Donald Trump went over there and kissed the helmet.
Duty. That's just something they normally do.
Oh, okay.
I believe he was still active duty. I think
okay.
Him and his family was at the rally. When the shot he was shielding his from the bullets, and he happened to get hit by some of the bullets and passed away.
Well, I know he did just turn 50 because, I did my due diligence and my research. So if he was a 50-year-old firefighter, I don't know if he was sergeant chief, like whatever position he held. But unfortunately, he lost his life trying to save his family. Okay. Donald Trump did mention him. It was a lot of things I expected and I didn't expect. Hulk Hogan. I did not expect the UFC CEO to come out, and just to hear both of them talking and how long they actually been friends with Donald Trump, 20 plus years, 30 plus years, then his wife came out the last night, Melania, Trump, and man, she be looking like
she does not want this man to win president. She was like, I was just looking for a sugar daddy. I did not want to become first lady. Now I got pictures of me out here. I'm the first who got new pictures of out there on the internet. This wasn't for me.
But at the same time, I'm sorry, y'all. I hear excited watching the movie. But at the same time, I can say she has not been problematic. I mean, outside of her plagiarizing that speech that one time, she been minding her business. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Generally, the first lady like does like public service type of things while her
Well,
husband's in the
yeah,
office,
they're
you know?
and then a lot of the first ladies they're involved in like more of the public school system. They're involved in
Yeah,
like the charities that goes on and stuff like
yeah,
that. And like when it
yeah.
came to her actually having to get involved in that stuff, you could just see when she it looked like was being forced to do these things. Like you could tell she had no interest in trying to keep up this persona of the first lady. She had no interest in it whatsoever.
Well,
All she knew was
it
that
wasn't her
when somebody
lane.
was taking yeah, all she knew was that when I got to be on, so somebody put a camera on my face, I need to smile.
What she's trained to do, right? Because she was a model, so she does that
Mm-hmm.
well. Like in front of a
Mm-hmm.
camera, she looks great. She's
Yeah.
not a, you know, she's a beautiful woman, you know. Um, but um, everything I seen, so he brought out I think they're called the J-12, where it was 12 individuals that were killed during when we were trying to bring the troops out of Afghanistan when Biden first became president. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they had a whole video they put up there, and I was like, "Oh, this is touching. This is sad." You know, they lost their family members. They were all very young when they lost their lives. But then it just switched to a darker tone. It was like, "Oh, President Biden didn't do this. He was on a tarmac and he was checking his watch the whole time. I didn't feel like he cared." Then they turned around and started talking about how Trump reached out to them and yada yada yada, but then it was a mixture of backgrounds. Like um, it was people of Latino descent. It was people of what I presume to be um, Middle Eastern descent, um, and you know, Americans or whatever. Um, and they all came on the stage, and you know, it was sad because they lost their children or their
But
loved ones, right?
one thing they did not mention though when it came to one thing they didn't mention was it was Trump who pulled the troops out of Iraq. So Biden came into office. Trump already had when Biden came into office. There was already a date set where the troops has to pull out of Iraq. Biden has
That's
to
why I said
abide by
it
that.
happened right
Right.
when he became president. Yep.
Right when he became
So
president. So Biden have to abide by the date that was set by the previous administration. And that's what a lot of people do not understand. The first 4 years of a president's administration is what the previous president left. So yeah, those 4 years that we had of Trump, yeah, they were good because that was an economy that Obama and Biden handed to him. And then
but then it wasn't really good. It was good, but it wasn't really good. Like we were living comfortably, but then we was locked in our houses for most of this term and wearing masks.
yeah, well, you know, because to be honest, like we had to vote for a new president in 2020 anyway. So like he was at the end of his term when COVID hit. So like if it wasn't for COVID, you know, it still would have been a booming economy under for them 4 years. Now the 4 years that we felt under that we're feeling now under Biden is because it's the
Biden.
economy that Trump left us with, which is a
Yeah,
failing economy, and they're trying to blame Biden for that, just like they try to blame Biden for all members got left in Iraq and they got killed. You cannot blame that on Biden. You need to blame that on Trump.
yeah, yeah. I feel that. So he brought those people on stage. It was a black woman that came on stage. I'm not sure what she was talking about because I was preoccupied doing something. Um, then he also brought out an Orthodox Jew that sued Harvard because he felt like they were practicing anti-Semitism. If anybody don't know what that means that somebody anti-Semitism is when a person or a corporation is being racist against Jewish people, people of Jewish descent. So he graduated from Harvard and then turned around and sued them. And he was one of the people that came out and did a speech, and he was passionate about what he felt. But then it was like, it was so, the crowd's response to him, I think they were shocked It was so
Mhm.
lackluster. And I felt so bad about him because I'm like, bro, you came out here and you want to push your agenda. And I'm like, his whole speech was falling on deaf ears because, yeah, I feel him, but at the same time, like, do you really know? Like, I was thinking in my head, like, do you realize what crowd you're speaking to? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you really honestly understand that? Because I feel like everybody that was not Caucasian that was on that stage had held some type of office. Like he graduated from Harvard. The minorities that lost their children, the J-12, they were in the military, right? So we give thanks to
Mhm.
our military. The black lady that came out, she worked in the sheriff's office for I don't know how many years. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't no run of the mill, just, what I'm saying, minorities that came out there. Then he talked about, um, like bringing America together, uniting America together. Of course, he talked about the border or whatever. That's nothing new with him because he was the one that started
He's
the
obsessed with
wall,
the
right?
border.
Yeah, but it makes you feel like why? Like who is actually behind that project that wants him to build that border? Then he talked about bringing down interest rates, grocery prices, gas prices. But then he's saying we're gonna drill, and I took that as he wants to drill here in the United States. And I'm like, well, I don't really know how I feel about that. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, gas prices are more than what they were when I was younger, but I feel like they're manageable. I feel like they're manageable for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have been higher than what they are now in our city. If you go somewhere else, yeah, they are considerably higher, but the cost of living is also higher in those cities as well. So, but what other things that he touched upon? Um, I, you know, um, I didn't hear them say anything about the person that got gunned down by the Ohio police officers in our city on the second day of the RNC.
No, I don't remember any of that being mentioned in RNC.
Nope,
Not any of the
nope,
coverage
nope.
I seen online either.
So the only thing I saw was local news covering the issue. So it sounded like, if anybody don't know, so it was a 43-year-old homeless man that was shot and killed by Ohio police. It was multiple police departments from across the United States that were at the RNC to provide help with the influx of people that were going to be there, et cetera, right? Especially after the attempted assassination of Trump. So they were on 14th of the League. It's a park over there called King Park. Supposedly it was two individuals that got into an altercation. One man pulled out some knives, and the Ohio police shot and killed him at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so
Five
the
officers
street
shot
is
at
a
one
major
person.
street. I was gonna say, so they did release body cam footage that showed the police yelling and running towards the guy, but then it stops right before they actually shoot him. And it looked like, so from their accounts, they said that the man was lunging towards the other man that he was arguing with, but it looked like the man was he looked kind of startled. It looked like he turned around and looked at him and looked like he was bending down to place the knives on the ground. That's the way I took it. But then I was reading the article and they showed traffic cam footage where the two individuals that were into the altercation were in the street. Like they walked off of wherever grassy knoll into off the sidewalk into the street. If they were arguing, I couldn't see. Usually black people, when we argue, we use hand gestures, head gestures, etc., right? So if they were arguing, I couldn't tell. But then they had a distance between both of them, and the next thing I know, I see like 7 or 8 police officers running towards him from around the building. Most of them had their guns pulled, and a man just dropped dead in the street. And the other person didn't get hit, from what I understand. All them bullets flying, he didn't get hit. And he just stood there, kind of in shock, and just stood there and just kind of was like standing in the street, like looking,
Man,
So
mind y'all, Ohio is the same state where the teenage boy got shot. The unarmed teenage boy got shot dead in the park by the police. By the way,
and they
so
were from
Ohio is known for this thing where, yes, Ohio is known for basically shooting first and ask questions later. When it comes to,
So I'm thinking, man, like what, where are they from? Have they ever been to a city with a population like Milwaukee, or have they ever dealt with homeless people, or do they have any de-escalation tactics? They should. I feel like as a police officer, you get trained and all of that, right?
I said, why didn't they try to tase this man first?
So they said because they were too far and they felt like he was lunging towards the other individual. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's crazy. So, one news station here actually interviewed a homeless shelter, soup kitchen type of thing, and it's a monk. It was a monk. He got on camera. He knew the individual well. He confirmed that the individual was homeless. Also confirmed that the individual was not a confrontational type of person, etc., right? And he also said that he reached out to authorities prior to the RNC because he felt like something like this was going to happen because we were going to have multiple police agencies here in the city. And he was like, he wasn't sure, you come into a different city, you don't really know what the norm is, etc., etc. And he gave them pamphlets about, de-escalating with people who have mental health issues, persons that are homeless, things like that, And he still had that, hey, if you still need help in those matters, come see me. But it was sad. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's crazy. So from what I understand, Waukesha and Milwaukee are both supposed to be investigating it. And I really hope this doesn't get swept underneath the rug. And I hope all of the people that discharge their firearm, because they got to. So I know the autopsy was scheduled for the following day, but they have to determine who actually killed the person, right? If you got that many people shooting guns, what bullet actually killed him, and everybody needs to be on administrative duties. That's duty. Everybody.
Yeah, and then I felt like it was like you got 5 officers shooting at him. It sounded like all 5 of the officers emptied a whole clip into this man. So it was like did it really take what? It's probably about. Right. So did it take like I said, Tina, you were supposed to keep talking. But it did.
I'm sorry, I was chastising the child. Sorry.
Was it really necessary to basically put 30-something bullets in a person?
No, it's not. And then you endangering, so it was still traffic driving down the street. When I was looking at the traffic cam, they endangered the lives of everybody going past there. They endangered the lives in the buildings across the street because it's bullet holes in the building. And after everything was shot, everybody came out like, what's going on? It was people coming out of the businesses, out of homes. You know what I'm saying? You just got bullets flying for no reason. And I was like, well, why were they even over there in the area? Because they were, like a mile or so off from the convention, right? So I looked into that, and it sounds like that they were all bicycle cops that were supposed they were over there getting their assignments from their supervisor, and that's why they
So
happened to
yeah,
be in
so
that
to give
area.
y'all account, so the convention took place on 6th Street, and the shooting took place on 14th Street. Just to remind you, that's kind of it. If you really look at the map, it's not even in the red with the red zone, which they could say what they call the hard zone, where like unless you
It
have
wasn't
a
even in
special
the yellow
credential.
zone. It wasn't
That's what
even
I'm
in the
saying.
yellow zone.
If you didn't have the special credentials, it wasn't in that zone. It wasn't in the soft zone, which they consider the yellow zone. And to be honest, like one of the streets that I was taking to get home was to get around downtown. Well, I would take 12th Street to Walnut to get back on 6th Street to drive north. Um, um, I drive in right outside the yellow zone, coming home from work. And that happened, and that shooting still happened another 2 blocks away from the yellow zone outside of where I would normally drive to take my other route to get home. So it's like they quite a distance away from Pfizer Forum. So to have those officers who are from another patrolling, I think it should in the area. And then on top of that, it was saying that they were putting those officers over there because they got heard of a potential protest that was going on. Once again, nobody even showed up to protest in that area, first of all. And then second of all, why in that area that is so far away from Pfizer Forum when they have so many other areas that's closer that they're allowed to protest in? Like it doesn't make sense whatsoever. Like I don't know why they thought that the general public was going to believe that story. Like I don't believe it. It's like, and I was thinking if you guys brought in all these other officers from all over the country to help with the RNC. RNC, like wouldn't shouldn't they only be in what they consider the RNC zone? And then that means that none of our city police officers should have been nowhere in that RNC zone patrolling, and we had all these other cops from all over the country. So in that case, like that should have been all key police department, MPD. That's all that should have been there in that area patrolling. That should have been around in the area. That should be driving the area. That should have been our bicycle cops. That I feel like there was no business for outside agencies to be patrolling anywhere in our city. It just should not have happened in my opinion. And I'm gonna stick to it.
So after the shooting happened, they did go down there and protest. So, and I didn't.
I mean, I bet
I
they would.
didn't
I would
see,
too.
but I didn't see any. I'm sorry, y'all. He excited over here. I didn't see any news coverage of the protest. I did see. I believe it was TikTok or something like that. That people were down there protesting that. It was for him, and it was for somebody else that was held downtown
So you talking about the
and
incident that
killed.
happened at the Hyatt Hotel? So the news reported though that
And hi,
there was protesters on
yeah.
14th of Elite to protest the RNC. They didn't say that they didn't say that they was there for the man that got killed downtown at the hotel or anything like that. And she's speaking of the story where the man was basically where the hotel was saying that he was in there causing a disturbance, security room, and held him down until the police got there. And by the time the police got there, the man was he was unresponsive. Um, from what I've heard in the latest
Yes.
news, and from the latest news, all the staff security guards that was involved in that matter has been fired from the hotel upon the investigation of that, and the families right now is pushing for criminal charges to be done right now, done. And then the thing about it is, I don't ever remember if a hotel or you being kicked out of a public building. Never heard of somebody being held down on the ground until the police got there. Most of the time, they just toss you out the building and say, "Hey, don't come back. We're gonna call," or the person lingers around. Hey, we're gonna try to call the police. We're gonna try to get trespass and whatever. That's normally how I've seen it go. Far as like if I'm a big, if I'm an angry person or whatever, and or whatever happens, and they're trying to get back in the building or whatever, the security go back in and just lock the doors until the police get there.
Yep. Yeah. So I hadn't
Just prevent
heard
the
of
man from
that
coming back
story.
in.
So I hadn't heard of that story, and I didn't hear about it until I saw them going down there to protest after the guy on 14th of the week was
Yeah,
killed.
so last week, so the week leading up before the RNC, I believe it happened like a week or two before the RNC. So the whole week leading up to the RNC, every day they were going outside of the Hyatt Hotel, which is like around the corner from the RNC, where the RNC is being held. They were going out there protesting every day. I believe that Friday before the RNC, that Thursday, Friday before the RNC, they had his funeral. Reverend Earl Sharp was there, and he gave a eulogy and everything. So, uh, yeah, so like I said, the family is pushing for the charges right now. So far, there has been no charges filed against any of the men that was involved in that incident at the hotel. And then I feel like the hotel needs to do better when it comes to their training of their security guards.
But yeah, all in all, I feel like the RNC that. So I was shocked that JD Vance was announced as this running mate for VP, right? I was completely shocked because
Mm-hmm.
of what you said previously about him just basically like saying he was not a Trump supporter, X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. And I feel like that. So I looked into his background. He's an author. He wrote a book called Eulogy, Hillbilly Eulogy, excuse me. And has 3 kids. First year as a senator. He didn't win the first time around, I believe, but the second time he did he got elected. Um, is married. His wife um, is also an attorney. I don't know her background as far as like what she's descended from, but it doesn't appear that she's Caucasian, but she's beautiful. She's probably one of the only women that was there that didn't have on any makeup, had beautiful salt and pepper hair, no makeup, half freckles. She was stunning. And I think her name was Asha or something like that. My apologies if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but um, I was very shocked. He's 39, one of the youngest, but not the youngest VP candidate. I believe that's what they said. And I just feel like this was for a shock and awe value. I feel like he's thinking, I don't know if he is a voting Republican or not. I didn't look into that. Um, but I kind of feel like he's thinking of this as far as his future. If he runs as VP, then next term he can go for president, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I feel like Trump picked him because he was an avid non-supporter of him, trying to show people, oh, he's seen the light type of thing, so on and so forth. And I feel like that's
He's
kind
trying
of
to make it
like
look like
what
he can unite people. Like I can put my differences
yeah,
aside for the sake of the country type stuff. And that's what I
yeah.
feel like he's trying to do. He was trying to do, but it's not
And
gonna work.
I feel like JD Vance's speech, that's kind of what I got. He is a former Marine, also. He's also a lawyer. Um, and like I said, his wife is a lawyer, practicing lawyer. She just took a leave of absence from her job because of this. But I just kind of feel like also because he's 30, that's a really big age gap, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Trump is nothing if he's great with marketing, right? In
Mm-hmm.
businesses. So he heard a lot of us complaining about the age of who's running the country. So he got somebody in there that's actually younger than I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, kind of up to date with a lot of different things. He seemed like he a fun guy, things like that kind of appeal to the younger crowd. You know what I'm saying? It's all tactic. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the only reason why JD Vance did that is to benefit his political career in the long run, And I don't know, Kamala Harris, she's 59 years old, if I remember correctly. She's an AKA. She is married. She's married and has 2 stepchildren, I believe. I don't believe she has any biological children of her own. Like you said, she was Attorney General for California. She was a prosecutor. So I am very, very interested at how these debates are going to go. If she does accept being the Democratic nominee, because again, she's a lawyer by trade, right? And she has experience convicting criminals. So if she's a prosecutor, that means she has to prove without a reasonable doubt that somebody's guilty, right? So she got all the skill set she needs. And I really feel like, a lot of things that Biden has been doing, she has been a driving force behind the scenes. I know a lot of people, like, where has she been doing that? She hasn't really been in the limelight, the camera, this, that, and the other. But people need to stop and realize, like, you don't have to be in front of a camera to be doing something. You know what I'm saying? We often use the phrase, move in silence, right? She could have been very much so the brains behind a lot of policies that Biden was putting out. Again, she's a lawyer, right? And, going into different communities, seeing what's needed, coming back and telling Biden this is what is really needed in this community, this is what's really needed in this community, this is what we need to get rid of. They have been working really hard to get rid of student loan debt, which they continue to do. They just did another round of 30-something thousand people and got rid of their debt. I believe you were one of those recipients, weren't you?
I was done last year sometime. It's been a while. It was before the repayment.
It still happened for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just kind of feel like that she, like you said, she's going to continue to push those agendas, right? Because quite honestly, I mean, seeing the condition that Joe Biden is in, I know he has a whole cabinet to advise him, so on and so forth, but that's what his vice president is there for also, right? So I really feel like she did come up with a lot of ideas, and I feel like she has a lot more, and I feel like she would be more of a risk taker when trying to get these policies out here too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I have the right clip. Let me
Trump
see.
supporters proposing that he be hanged for using Trump supporters proposing that he be.
Nope. Oh, that was something.
What was that?
The RNC is in full swing.
Oh crap! Okay, I don't know.
Tell you about being a fuck.
Oh nope, I ain't got that.
That looks interesting.
That's not it either. It was a clip of
This Kamala Harris ad slammed.
That's the clip right there I was looking for. It was about some of the stuff that you had spoke on about Kamala Harris. So.
This Kamala Harris ad slamming Donald Trump from 2020 is going viral again, given that President Biden has endorsed her to be the next Democratic nominee. Take a look at it.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Yeah, exactly. Donald Trump was the type of person that Vice President Kamala Harris prosecuted when she was a district attorney and an attorney general. She's educated, she's caring, she's smart, she upholds the rule of law. All of those things do not apply to Donald Trump. So I am fully supporting Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024, and that ad is great. We should just start running that exact same ad again because it still applies today in 2024.
I agree with Rosie Cheeks.
Oh my God. I agree also.
I agree with him. Yeah, you know, it's just so she graduated from Howard. That's where she got her law degree from, for anybody that don't know. And Attorney General is the highest lawyer like position you can hold outside of being a judge, right?
You're
In a
basically
state.
the attorney for the state.
Yeah. So she's seen a lot, you know, she has a lot of experience for a lot of different things. And convicting sex predators is probably a very difficult thing, I would think, for anybody, you know. I know I've seen a lot of chatter on social media, like she was locking people up for drug offenses, black men up for drug offenses. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're not specifying what drug offenses, right? And I know people have kind of been coming out of jail for like minor marijuana offenses, right? So, you know, people talking about some people in jail for drug offenses. It's a lot of drugs out here. They're scheduled drugs. And scheduled drugs those are considered to be illegal unless specific ones that can be prescribed by a provider, right? In a controlled environment for reasons because they are susceptible to being misused or addiction, right? So I don't really feel any kind of way about that whole statement, you know. I don't feel a way about her being married to a Caucasian man. It was people saying, "Oh, she's not black; she's a mixed descent." Is the majority of Black Americans are of mixed descent? So, you know, it's just a lot of. I feel like it kind of comes down to her being a woman, and they don't want to actually say that because, you know, you look stupid saying that. You don't want to.
They're not ready for our first Madam President.
Yep. And I honestly thought it would have been Michelle Obama, but I feel like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris coming after the Obamas. And I mean, she wasn't the vice president, but she was a very strong force to be dealt with, you know. And yes,
I'm still standing on it.
And you're not wrong. Like after you played that clip, do you still got that clip? Because he ate him, honey. He read him to filth. Oh man, he read him to filth, y'all. He read him to filth. He did, and that's what he get. He got up there, and that man just gave him time to speak, and he just like debunked everything he was saying.
All his lies, every single last thing that Ron DeSantis lied about, he called him out on it.
He did. He did it so smooth, and I was like, oh.
Not only did he call him out on the lie, he gave him actual facts after fact. Him. Come on, man. That's what we need. That's the two that we need to be running.
Yes. And I feel like, you know, we're like 4 months away. I'm sorry, y'all. We're like 4 months away from election, and everybody like, oh, well, Joe should have dropped out a long time ago. Not necessarily because, I kept saying that I felt like the Democrats had something up their sleeve because they know the DNC is next month. That's their deadline for announcing a nominee to be on the ballot for the Democratic Party. So I felt like, if it was concerns about Joe Biden's health, um, or his mental capacity declining, because of his age, and that sucks, right? Because we're supposed to be a nation that we had a president in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of whatever disability, like, he has the right to run, but he did bow out. So I applaud him for that, for swallowing his pride if that was an issue. You know what I'm saying? For the American people. You know what I'm saying? And not saying that I was one of the people that wanted him to bow out, because I wasn't one of the people that wanted him to bow out. You know what I'm saying? But now we face a new issue where we have to possibly we have a woman, if she does next month accept the nominee at the DNC, she has 3 months then at that time to campaign, and um, tell everybody who her running mate is, and then it's like they really gonna have to go for the shock and awe factor, which I feel like at this point might be the best thing as far as marketing is concerned, is because now we're being introduced to something new, and it's like Donald Trump really wouldn't have too much time to dig into their past, try to drag them down, come out with new commercials, this and the other. It's going to be solely relying upon the debates. You know what I'm saying? To pull out anything. And I mean, Donald Trump is a good BSer, but he's not an attorney. He's not a person that, can come up and have all of these facts after facts after facts. I'm going to quote this statute. I'm going to quote this statute. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. That's not his strong suit. He's just more of a general orator and an entertainer, basically, right, to appeal to the masses. That's it. I'm sorry, y'all. I went ranting because I feel it in my soul. Like, I'm so excited about this change. I was dreading this change at first because I was like, I really didn't know how people across America that would have voted for Joe Biden would have felt about Kamala Harris taking this spot. But, in a few hours after all that was announced, it's just, the whole $5 million being donated.
Just let you guys know she's still on the campaign trail because she is making a stop here in Milwaukee this coming Tuesday. So she's still on the campaign trail, even with Biden saying that he's not going to seek reelection anymore. Just to keep
and that's good. All she got to do is just switch gears and then just start now. Since she has his endorsement to run, she just gonna switch gears and start talking about the hot topics, and she probably got an arsenal lined up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She could have been just sitting back preparing for something like this. It could have been discussed a long time ago. You never know. It's all about America and how they see, how they feel about a woman becoming, taking the seat in the highest position in the land. And a lot of us feel like America is not ready for something like that. Just like they weren't ready for Obama taking president, but then that made history in my lifetime. Our lifetime. But now, maybe that might have been the plan from the start. You never know. Maybe they bamboozled the Republican Party, and that was the intention from the jump. You never know.
Right, and you're right about that.
That's what I would have done.
It
I
did
would
it,
have.
man. I don't
I
know
would
why
have.
it does this.
I would have kept my um opponents lost like that, right? They focused on Biden. They felt like he was declining, this that, and the other. Then they got all hyped up, and then this assassination attempt, so on and so forth, you know. And it's so sad that people lost their lives behind that. And I still want to see how that play out as far as the investigation, all that, and if they are going to do an investigation because the young man was killed. But you know, Trump is now condemning the Secret Service. That the director of the Secret Service is a woman. Okay, I don't know if anybody knew that, but now you know I see people just pulling and condemning and pulling her down just because she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? And that sucks. That really sucks. So I'm really interested to see. You know, it could have been the Democrats kind of pulled one over on the Republicans and said, "Oh, you thought this is what was going to be happening, but the whole time this is what we were planning. We caught you off guard right at the end."
Right. And you are 100% right about that. So, just being said, oh wait, I got some comments. I have some technical issues here on my end. There won't be any real investigation before the election. The Democrats will stonewall before the election. They won't hold anyone accountable. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. It is that she's incompetent and she's not accountable.
That's an interesting opinion. I really feel like, I mean, I don't feel like, you know, making your way through Howard and, you know, getting a JD account, you know, it's the same thing as being incompetent, you know. So my idea of being incompetent, I mean, as far as what, you know, being able to run this country, because there's been a lot of incompetent individuals running this company, in my opinion, that were, you know, less credentialed as she was to be able to run the country. And I want to point things out to people like it's not a monarchy. She's not becoming the queen of the United States. She's becoming the president of the United States. And we have a whole system of checks and balances in place. We have the House, we have the Senate, we have the judiciary branch. All of those people can hold back a policy. She can be vetoed if they feel like it's not a fair policy that she's trying to push through. So it's a whole system of checks and balances put into this whole country. So I don't feel like, if you feel like she can or cannot do the job, like I said, I feel like it's a lot of other people. That's the reason why you got a whole cabinet of advisors, right? I mean, let's look at Trump, right? I don't know if he was in the military. I've never heard of him being in the military. He ran businesses. He was a businessman, yes. Never been in politics ever in life. Was never a lawyer, etc., etc. I really don't know if he holds a college degree. I never went and looked into it, you know. So with that being said, you know, what makes him the better person to choose versus her? You know, if you want to sit down and think of who's incompetent to run this country, I feel like she has a lot of more bullet points in her favor than Trump does, just based on her whole experience as a prosecutor, an attorney general, a vice president, etc., etc. That's just my thought.
We got a few comments from Bush went to Yale and he was incompetent. Credentials and competency are not the same thing.
So, first of all, which Bush are you talking about? I'm assuming Bush Jr. But like I said, it was a lot of people that were voted into office that were incompetent. Okay? So, Brandon, you agree with me with that. So, I'm not going to say she's not capable of running this country if she has never ran the country. I'm not capable of running this country. Are you?
Yeah, there's a lot of us ain't capable of doing half our jobs, but we still show up and do them.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we got in front of us. We got 4 months to pick the leader of the free world. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we got. These are the choices that we have. Of course, still have like independent parties, etc., etc. But you know, I have my choice. Everybody else is free to pick who they want to vote for. I wouldn't vote for her just because she's a woman. That has nothing to do with it. That has absolutely nothing to do with it.
All right. And with that being said, because we're getting close to the end of the show, I want to head into our TikTok videos of the week. All right, so here goes our first video.
When it comes to 1-year-old Tariq, you are the father.
Okay, somebody switch those results backstage because ain't no way. Okay, Brandon. Let's see here. Donald Trump objectively ran the country well. The economy was strong. Inflation was low. There was social progress on issues like the First Step Act. The border was secure. Okay, so I don't know if you caught the first half of our podcast. And our previous podcast where we explained to people that when a new president steps in, they're basically stepping into what the previous president put into place. Okay, so when Trump became president, this was after Obama was president for
he was handed a booming economy. He was handed an economy that was did have low unemployment.
Exactly.
He handed him an economy that was basically making money. He handed us an economy where it was affordable to live. And like I said, and then what Biden inherited, what Biden is doing for his first 4 years as president was based on the things that happened during Trump's presidency, the laws and that he put in place, the taxes that he put in place, all that kind of stuff. So what we've been feeling the last 4 years is what Donald Trump put in place during his 4 years as president. And in order for us when going into the next 4 years, we're going to feel the effects of Biden has done for the last 4 years as far as his presidency. So we won't feel the effects of what Biden has done for the next 4 years. And that's just like some of the laws that the Supreme Court passes. It takes at least 5 to 10 years for us to really feel the effects of, that of what the laws that are passed.
I was going to say that. So that's true with politics. That's also true with medicine, right? If I put out a brand new medication, I'm going to continue to look at the research or, the clinical results of that medication 5 to 10 years after these treatments have been put into place, right?
So I want to answer this question. So you saying because I think you had said something about the economy and Democrats. Okay, so Democrats lost in 2016. So a lot of people say they want to break. The Democrats lost in 2016. So the reason why Democrats basically lost in 2016 is, just to be honest, a lot of people just didn't go vote. That's really the right reason why Democrats lost. They did not go out and vote in 2016. after Obama left office, because to be honest, a lot of black people, amongst us, the African American community, just did not care about voting once Obama left office. Like right now, as of right now, there's a lot of people within the African American community who said they vote doesn't matter, so they do not vote at all. So that's one of the main reasons why Democrats did lose in 2016, because people just did not go and vote during that election. Now, if the same amount of people went out who went and voted during for both Obama's terms would have went to go vote, then we would have had a different story when it came to Hillary. On top of that, nobody really wants. I believe conservative people in this country do not want a female, in my personal opinion. And then, as far as the tax cut, there are billionaires who came out and said that if under Trump's tax cuts, if they would have paid their fair share of taxes, that if all the corporations would have paid their fair share of taxes that that they were supposed to pay, but due to Trump's tax cuts, they didn't. Right now, American people would not have to pay federal taxes right now. So federal taxes will not come out of the normal a nurse, a doctor, a housekeeper, somebody who works on the railroads. Like a blue collar workers will not have to pay federal taxes if the major corporations like Walmart and Amazon were to pay their fair share in taxes.
I don't know what. So I don't know what tax cut went into place that made it better for me, because I feel like when Trump was in office, I'm like, so I graduated in 2018, right? I'm gonna put this in perspective. I graduated in 2018.
Right now, this statement right here is a complete lie, because right now, because from the time Obama left office into the time that Trump left office, I believe that it was how much each person owes toward national debt. So when Obama left office, it says that we each person was basically would have to pay $83,000 to bring this country out of debt, and now that number has risen to $103,000 per person. Just to let you know. So saying that his tax cut would bring a record, no, because once again, only blue collar workers was paying taxes. Donald Trump didn't even pay taxes his whole 4 years as president. So saying that there was a record revenue in taxes, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
And it wasn't that loss, I believe, in employment, was it not? It was something I just read today. I believe Donald Trump was the only president in recorded history during his time as president. It was a recorded loss for something. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been employment. I'm not sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we can go back and forth, but facts is facts, right? So, I mean, me as a person, I increased my annual income by at least $50,000 when I graduated in 2018, right? When did Donald Trump get put into office?
Okay, first of all, Trump doubled the tax credit, and you sound like I don't have kids. I have 0 kids, so I didn't benefit from the child tax credit.
Children.
And if you got the child tax credit, yeah, if you have the child tax credit, it was basically she still had to pay that money back when she filed her taxes. It was a down payment on what you would have got.
So wait a minute. Let me just clarify this, right? Yes, I have children, right? And I'm not on public assistance, right? So I'm just going to clarify that. So my child tax credit, at the end of the day, I still didn't get a tax refund. Like, I was at the point where I had to pay taxes. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't really know what me and the amount of money that I make in a year. I'm a homeowner. I take care of my children. I don't get public assistance. I don't get food stamps. I don't get any of that stuff. Okay, I pay for everything out of pocket. My property taxes have increased, etc., right? So I don't really see what child tax credit this, that, and the other, so on and so forth, really has to do with me, because the time that I have increased my income, I haven't seen a change in as far as if I get a refund or not. I barely be on that cuff where I don't have to pay anything back, because I'm smart enough to sit down and realize if I need additional taxes taken out of my check or not. So that's the difference between me and a lot of people. I pay attention to that.
So what she's saying, because you're saying that it has nothing, you're not talking about public safety. Only people who benefit from the child tax credit is basically people who have kids on public assistance, to be honest with you. Because the average everyday worker, the child tax credit really did not benefit them whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, they still like for me and her, we were considered essential workers during COVID. And during COVID, we still had to pay taxes. Taxes was coming out of our checks. The people who were considered essential workers was the ones that's keeping this a country at flow. And then like you said, it was misleading. We were misleading, talking about most of that. My comment was misleading about the debt, that most of it came from spending. Once again, because he misused funds, like when he was giving out those PPE loans, we had people in the government who are senators and stuff like that applying for these PPE loans who didn't really need them. And then you had people who were applying for PPE loans who were millionaires and billionaires who did not use that money to for their companies. You had Kanye West apply for a PPE loan. Did he use it for his staff to pay for his payroll? No, he did not. So it's actually Trump's fault that he spent all that money, unnecessary money was spent, because he didn't have his checks and balances in place to make sure that money was being allocated to places where it needed to be, where it was being spent wisely. So it was Trump's fault. Like that spending was all on him. Even with the like I tell people, with the stimulus money. The stimulus money is money that anybody who received the stimulus money, and if you have a job, you have to pay that money back. At the time he gave it to you, it seemed like free money, but that is going to go onto your tax bill, and you're going to have to pay that money back. There's no such thing as free money. One way or another, they're going to get their money and give you that
stimulus money. That stimulus money that I got from the kids that I claimed on my tax return wasn't even half of one of my paychecks. I just want to put that out there. Wasn't even half of one of my paychecks. What even? Nothing. Nowhere near.
That was put together, but for during the emergency. But once again, they should have did their checks and balances before putting these policies into effect. Even with the child tax credit, you said it was trying to apply to 100% of people who make less than $75,000. And then you got to realize anybody who makes over 50, to be honest, anybody who makes over $50,000, they're going to owe taxes regardless. So you could give them a child tax credit, but come next year when they have to file their taxes, they're going to have to pay that child. They're paying that child tax credit money back that they got. So to be honest, the child tax credit only people who made I would say $30,000 and less. That's who the child tax credit really benefited, not anybody making over really $30,000, because even making over between $30,000 to $40,000, and even with one child, and you're still going to end up owing at the end of the year, regardless, because of the amount of money that you make. And then, like I said, and then you saying that we didn't want to give Trump credit for anything. Show me something that Trump really did that benefited this country.
So
I don't know one thing that he's done to benefit this country at all.
So I want to put this out here. I'm not a gun-ho Democrat. Like, I've never been. I'm going to listen to both sides, all parties. And I listen to what's best for me and my family. Okay? And make it make sense, right? And if I'm in the medical field. I need facts. I need data. I need, you know what I'm saying? I need some hardcore evidence proving that what you put into place really did help. I'm going to go back and I'm going to fact check. I'm going to look at how many jobs were generated. I'm going to look at how the economy was doing. I just watched a TikTok from a guy that reordered the groceries he had in 2022 that were $100 and some. He reordered them for present time, and they were like $400 and some dollars. Okay, so that's what matters to me, right? And I want you to understand that inflation is pretty much direct, is caused directly by the pandemic.
Wait, hold the hell on. So you keep talking about this Step One Act, which was basically categorized as violent terrorism, human trafficking, sex and sexual exploitation. What do these things have to do with the country? And repeat felons of possessions of firearms and all these other kind of things. So what you saying, like he's letting these people who are convicted of violent crimes, terrorism, sex trafficking, repeat felons with possession of firearms? So you keep bringing this up, and high level drug offenses, which say he's giving them a harsher punishment. I'm sorry it was informing you, but there's already been harsh punishment. Like you can go and have $50 worth of weed on you and get 5 to 10 years in prison. There's already been harsh punishment for all these things already. So for you to be talking about the Step One Act, I'm kind of confused here. What's good about the Step One Act? 30,000 people were released from jail, and these were people who are considered violent terrorism, human sex trafficking, sexual exploitation, repeat felons of possessions of firearms, certain fraud offenses, and high-level drug offenses. That's the first Step One Act. You know what? With that being said, thank you for tuning in.
I mean, go ahead and put that comment up there. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it, honey. Let me see it.
I mean, we're what? Because I kept saying something about the Step One Act. It's so many comments over here. He just said right here. He just said the Step One Act. Like he kept saying stuff about, man. Like when I had said tell me something that Trump did that was good. And he said the Step One Act. And then the Step One Act, all it did was release 30,000 people from jails who were considered violent, terrorism, human trafficking, sexual exploitation, repeat felons in possessions of firearms, certain fraud offenses, and high-level drug offenses. He let basically dangerous people back out on the street. That's your thing that Trump did that was great for the country.
But out of 4 years,
I mean, you saying it's not true, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right here on my screen. On my screen, right here. I'm really looking at it right here. And then it says under a thing, it said what was good about it, and the only thing that they're saying is good about it was this. Once again, it's just like.
So I guess my question is that the only thing? Because if that's the only thing that you're speaking of, is that the only thing that was good in your opinion?
And then on top of that, they said it's a thing that said, why did it fail? It failed because he had no rehabilitation programs to really help these people once they were released onto the streets. So half of these people probably ended up back in jail anyway.
Of course not. Of course not. Like he went on pardoning rappers and this, that, and all other and so on. I feel like it was just for a show, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like what sense does it make? Like this man like redid the Bible, like republished the Bible with like the Articles of Confederation or something in it. Then he turned around and he put out a shoe. So I mean, none of it. To me, it's just a bunch of it's just a lot of show. I don't know. It's not politics in my opinion. This is not what politics is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not for the smoke and mirrors. So I need the cold hard evidence.
So you bring up that Biden, the 1994 crime bill, and where it's highlighted right here, it says increase criminal penalties and provide grants to address rape, sexual assault, and domestic violence abuse. The Violence Against Women's Act, which is you talking about the 1994 Crime Act, the Violence Against Women Act, the VAWA, signed into law by President Clinton on September 13, 1994, as title of the Violent Crimes Control and Law Enforcement Act, commonly known as the 1994 Crime Bill. which it says increase the criminal penalties and provided grants to address rape, sexual assault, and domestic abuse. Why is that a bad thing? So with that being said, I think I've proven my facts here. We're going to end the show like that because we're already over time. We're 9 minutes over. So, being said, we're now going to go do final thoughts. We'll just see you guys on the next episode of Same Cast, Different Day podcast. Y'all have a good one. Join us next Saturday.